The Autumn Steam Gala on the North Yorkshire Moors Railway. 2 days of chaotic crowds and locomotive heaven. Pickering Station. It's the end of a busy summer season for the staff and volunteers of Britain's most popular heritage railway. On Gala weekend, hundreds of steam buffs and day trippers will be grabbing a ticket for the 18-mile journey north to Gromont. Down the platform, they're bracing themselves for a bit of a bun fight.
2 steak kidney pies, 1 leek and potato soup, steak kidney pies.
When the chips are down, you can always rely on the ladies of the tea room.
And the Gala weekend we cater for roughly about 1,000 people a day. Not just meals, teas, coffees and bacon butters. We've just sold, I don't know, 50, 60 bacon butters this morning. Well, that's quite a lot for a small tea room like this. There we go, 1 engine driver.
Today they'll be needing more than one. With several engines running on the line, everyone's getting steamed up. And some volunteers have made a special journey.
My day job is I'm a consultant engineer and I'm currently the chief engineer for the Manila Line 2 project, where we're building a brand new mass transit railway in Manila, the capital of the Philippines. So I've actually made a 17,000-mile round trip to come and be at Gala this year. I've been there for 2 years and I haven't missed a Gala during that time. It's a day out of the ordinary for us. We have lots of engines in steam, so it really recreates the atmosphere of the railways that we remember from years ago. And it shows members of the public what a very busy working steam railway was like. And one of our objectives here is to portray the history and the industrial heritage of the railways, and I think that galas especially help us to do that.
It's a family, and the family is we don't talk about volunteers and paid staff anymore. We just talk about the railway staff. We're all railway staff, whether we are paid or unpaid. And there's obviously got to be a lot of volunteers because it would be uneconomic otherwise. But that family is great because you get people like some of the drivers and people that work in all the different departments. This is their hobby, this is their life. And to see the success of this railway is just unbelievable for them. It's such a great buzz for some of these people.
I absolutely love this job. I'm a volunteer here, so I do it for nothing. Excuse me a moment. I like working with steam engines. I also like the fact that locomotive work is a team effort. The fitters in the shed, the crews out on the road, and when you're out on the road during the day, there are 2 of you, a driver and fireman and an engine, and you've got to work as a team. And it's amazing how the 2 men in the engine do work together. It's not just 2 men and a thing, it's a 3-way team.
But these days it's not always 2 men and an engine, as more and more female volunteers climb onto the footplate. Schoolteacher Beth Furness is one of them. She's a volunteer fireman, and one day she hopes to become an engine driver. It can take years to climb the ladder to the top, and today Beth's keen to take some tips from veteran driver David Jackson. For a living, he runs a caravan park, but like Beth, he can't wait to climb into a pair of grubby overalls.
it's just something I've enjoyed doing. Well, you've got to enjoy it, to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and you get some good mates.
Yeah.
You get to
And me.
you get to use some fantastic machinery and the technology of different ages, so it's always interesting and there's always a new challenge.
Beth's determined to make the grade. Being an engine driver is the real glamour job, and like most of the firemen, she'd be happy to put in years of slog to finally get her hands on the coveted driver's badge.
It's like anything, you put your hours in and hopefully you start learning the job, and the drivers quite often let you have a go on the regulator once you can prove yourself on the shovel, as it were. And as time goes on, you get more and more competent as you're driving, and eventually you start getting put forward for exams and everything. So yeah, in the future, that's what I'm hoping for. I've only been a year on the job, so I'm still learning the fine art of getting it right. So.
She has a very big shovel, does Beth? Bigger than most firemen have. She brings her own.
I do, yeah.
And it's a joke because a lot of these old firing shovels have BR stamped on them, or LMS or LNER. Beth's has JCB stamped on it.
Wycombe Country Fair. Just down the road from Pickering on the way to Scarborough, it's a traditional slice of outdoor fun, an annual celebration of the country pursuits still alive and kicking in North Yorkshire.
Right, get on, Ted.
The railway's catering manager is Paul Brown.
Get on.
Today he's giving his dogs a day out, competing in one of the show's gun dog skerries, where Ted the Labrador has to sniff out a hidden decoy.
Had him just 2 years now, and I spend a lot of time where I can training him, and friends are involved in shooting, and I spend as much time as I can with it. Ted! Ted! Either on days like today at country fairs where you're doing gun dog scurries, or just out myself down the fields with dummies and finding, retrieving, whatever. Hey, no, yo! Shift them branches. Come on, Ted. Although it's in the countryside, the railway, it's working on the trains and in an office. This really does get me out. It's one of my only interests, really, outside of work now, being with the dogs and down the fields with them. That is my life. It's something to look forward to at the end of a 9 to 5 or a 3 till 11 in the evening. You know, I still always stop and go down the fields late at night and give them a run out and work them on the whistle, stop them chasing rabbits and whatever, and it's a great feeling. Right, Ted, get on.
Ted's a young dog learning new tricks, and Paul's still getting to grips with competition too.
There was faults, a number of faults. Obvious one was where he cocked his leg in the bushes there, and he sort of made that his post.
Unfortunately, with dogs it can happen a lot, and you've got to try and stop them before they do it. He's only 2, so he's got a long way to go, and yes, he's doing very good. And Paul, maybe a little bit too verbal.
Ted, get back. Go on. Ted, get back. Oi, psst, get back.
We like the dog to do all the work and the handler not to interrupt too much.
Where is he? Get back. Go on. Hello, where is he? Has he got it?
There are times the dog needs help, but maybe Paul interrupts a little bit too much.
Right now I have forgotten about steam trains, 950s, 1020s and dining trains. That is off the menu today. Tea time, I will start thinking work again, but today, whilst I'm with these dogs, it is their day. They spend a lot of time at work or at home having to just wait around, and today it's their day, so give them a good day.
Back at the Steam Gala, the heavens have opened. It's grey and it's miserable, but you couldn't say that about these two. Colin, the fireman, runs a printing company when he's not starring in amateur dramatics, and Roger's one of the most experienced drivers on the line. They say he taught George Stephenson all he knew.
Probably noticed there he slipped a little bit because it's pouring down. These things are very powerful and they tend to lose their feet. It's only like having your own car on a gravel patch up the drive, put your foot down something and where you go.
Smile, you're on candid camera. Red one.
Cheers, mate.
Get going, else we're blowing off.
Right, off we go. To drive the things at the end of the day is a tremendous thrill. It's all about power. It's also a little bit of show business. Because you're actually in the entertainment business doing this sort of thing.
We're singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling, I'm happy again.
I told you it was a character, you can't get out of that one.
Meet Oliver, the station cat at Levisham. On the North Yorkshire Moors Railway, every station has one. And like everybody here, they've got to earn their keep. Up at Gromont, they'll often pass the hat round for the engine shed's unsung hero.
Now this here, this is Mooney Mark II. This is the shed rodent officer. Might look quite friendly and approachable, which it is when it wants feeding. There we go. It came as a feral, and we've managed to tame it after about 9 months. But it kills all the vermin round here, both 4 legs and 2 legs. Keeps the population down. Its predecessor is buried over there, where that cross is down there. There was Mooney Mark I. That's not it really. That hasn't got rigor mortis. That's a stone one there that we've set in there. Really, it did look like that. It was white once when it was born. I think the first 3 days. It used to live in the shed, this one, and it used to sleep underneath the engines, the warm engines. And then, of course, it was covered in oil and grease, but it was quite friendly. The kids liked it until they stroked it, and the mother had to start wiping all the grease. And there was more grease and oil on that cat than what there was in any of these steam engines. It never used to squeak. It was well oiled. But unfortunately, that died, and the local vets had it for about 2 nights and tried to resuscitate it, but it had got a terminal illness, and we got a bill for 348 quid. So I think I could have taken it to a boarding house in Eastbourne for a fortnight and looked after it down there for less.
Over on Gromont platform, they're getting ready for a special excursion on the Diner train. A medical conference from the North East has chartered it for the evening, and by all accounts they know how to enjoy themselves.
Conference delegates, they can drink. And they've got a coach down to Gromont from Durham and a coach back, so they don't need to worry about how much they've had. We're here to sell it, and hopefully they will drink plenty. It will be good boozy do, but they'll all arrive, ladies and gentlemen, and they will all leave, ladies and gentlemen.
There's a lot of meals to make. Traditional Yorkshire grub that always goes down well. And for the catering staff, it's a tall order.
109 for this evening. 109, all fan melon with salmon and a fresh salad. So quite a lot of melon to chop up tonight.
It's like trying to prepare a banquet in a caravan, but everyone's used to it.
Everything that we do is cooked on these trains, and if you think about that, that's a mini revolution in its own right, because people don't do that sort of thing today. They expect modern facilities. These have got to do this. If you're doing 109 covers in that situation on this train in the heat, that's quite fantastic.
As you can see, it's not a very big kitchen which we're working, and trying to get 110, 120 plates out across there is a big effort.
In essence, it's the equipment they had back in the 50s when these were running on British Rail. So yes, they're old trains with old facilities.
fanned honeydew melon, served with smoked salmon, late summer salad. All prepped?
Yeah. Lemons, lettuce, oloroso, little tomato, crescent toppers, cucumber.
Horseradish sauce. We'll get Glenys to put out 5. Rather than messing around filling up, we'll put 1 for each carriage, which we'll serve at the table, and have an extra one there just for the quick backup. Everything's prepped up. Your apple pie's out the oven now. The cheese is all sliced, and we've just got to whip the cream up and slice some apple for garnish. It is with a precision, military style precision. It has to be. The train won't stop. It will leave at around 7 o'clock or thereafter and go to Pickering and come back. And the drivers know that we're in control at the back. We know that the drivers are in control of the engine, and we all have a job to do.
The Pullman cars have never looked better, and everything's set for a 7 o'clock departure. With over 100 passengers, the train's going to be fully loaded. Roger Barker's the driver, and it's going to be a trip he won't forget in a hurry. He's been given an engine with notoriously slippy feet.
Part of this evening is a conference for doctors and surgeons specialists from around the world, covering a subject of mass spectrometry. And we want to make it an evening that they won't forget, and they will go away and tell other members of their team, if they ever plan on a conference in England, this is the place to come for the social side of the evenings. Hi Roger, this is Mr David Day.
Hiya,
This is Roger Barker, the driver of the steam loco this evening. This evening they would like name boards with their company logos on, and yeah, everyone will be happy with that.
Coach 25, this is in Coach A.
You know, it will be very impressive. Big steam locomotive coming into the station, 100 guests arriving. They will be thoroughly impressed. And that's before we set off.
With the light fading, Roger's keen to get off. His fireman's one of the best there is, though. Ian Pearson.
All seated. You can go.
Finally, they're off, and it's straight out of Gromont and up one of the steepest railway hills anywhere. The climb is a frightening 1 in 49, and tonight the diner's packed to capacity. Up at the front, they'll soon be running into problems, big problems.
Another red. Right, that's 73 bottles out to start with then, alright?
As the guests tuck into the melon, on the footplate it's going pear-shaped. Repton's slipping on the line, and the hill is starting to feel steeper and steeper.
At this moment in time, the engine is slipping on the rail. With it being the 1 in 49 gradient, the engine is struggling. We believe that there's also people doing the RITA training on the line, and the RITA train, the 153 I think it is, diesel unit, is doing some form of testing, and it literally uses, I believe, they refer to it as like soap on the line on the rail for doing brake testing, and that could be part of the problem as well.
Roger's not pleased.
Well, they'll be swearing and cussing, I should think. Lots of swearing and lots of cussing. I reckon they'll have earned the meal by the time they get to Pickering.
Well, they've been practising today with skid pan tests for the RITA trains. They left all the grease on the track.
The idea of the diner is that we go at 15 miles an hour so everybody can enjoy themselves. Unfortunately, we didn't really mean to say 1 mile an hour, but one of those things.
The worst engine.
Worst engine.
Worst engine. Southern.
She's had a days.
Excuse me, please.
She's had a days. That tonight.
For countless minutes, Roger tries to coax this awkward old lady gently up the hill. He's calling on a lifetime's experience here, and Repton finally knows when it's beaten by the master.
We will not be defeated at this time of night.
Is this small or is this big?
That's small.
No, that's small. Big.
Big.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it very much. The dinner is excellent. The train ride is very good. I've enjoyed getting onto the engine and taking a look at how it runs and all the gears and stuff. It's quite neat.
So the evening was very nice.
Pretty nice. Very nice.
It's very British. To me, unfortunately, the British are somewhat more conservative in things, and they tend to love the old traditional things. Canadians tend to throw out the old and replace it with new. And so to maintain something like this, to me, is very British.
It was nearly a disaster, but now it's a triumph. For the staff, there's a pile of washing up. But for the diners, it's time for a nightcap.
15 brandy, 15 Glenfiddich, and 15 sugar.
We've got a lot of cleaning up to do. There's a lot of bottles to be counted. Clean the train down. Pans, kitchens, ovens, a lot will be done before we go home tonight. I reckon it will be midnight or just after. When I finish here, it'll be easy to put my feet up, but the two dogs, those little boys, they want to get out and about, so I will take them down the field so they can chase some rabbits.
Next time, it's the railway's wartime weekend, and amongst all the nostalgia, a real wedding and a real emergency.